Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Know Your Worth. Again, you should know this young lady. She's been all over my page. This is LaToya Sutton. You might notice a different name because she's in the middle of a rebrand from Global Placement Services to Sudden Elevation
Consulting.
and Consulting.
Yes.
LaToya, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is LaToya Sutton, founder of Global Placement Services. As Wilford mentioned, that we are going through a rebranding. So our new name will be Sutton Elevation and Consulting. We will still do trainings, HR trainings, but we are getting away from doing the staffing part unless it's with a client where we're rebuilding their HR team. And then we're also going to focus on the legal side of things. So that's a little bit.
Okay. So me and LaToya will still be doing a lot of work together.
Yes.
I'm going to do more of on the HR side, the recruiting and things of that nature. But she has over 10 years recruiting too, so she can help with that. But now she's in law school, so she'll be able to help a lot more with the legal side. And we're going to help companies build and grow from those angles. So today's topic is how to read a resume to get your ideal candidate.
Mm,
Now, this is more art than science. Let's be clear.
okay.
There's so many different types of resumes. There's so many different types of ways to read them and try to extract the information that you need. Okay, so let's how can we start this topic? Okay. So we both own our own company. So we're going to go from the recruiting, like the recruiter actually getting a resume and looking at it and trying to help them, but also the hiring managers
Okay.
because we've both been hiring managers too. We both had to hire for our companies.
Yes.
So let's take it from the recruiter side. Um,
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about what you're looking for, and it'll be different on a case by case basis because depending on the job. But what's the first thing you're looking for when you see a resume, and then what makes you say yeah and what makes you say nay?
It depends. It depends on the industry and the position that I'm hiring for. So, the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that you have the experience and education that is required for the role.
Mhm.
Making sure that you meet the basic requirements. Sometimes, if you meet those preferred requirements, let's say if a manager is looking for someone who's bilingual, but it's not, a requirement, but it's preferred, and you're bilingual, then you're definitely going into my yes pal, especially if you meet the requirements. And then I'll talk my way, through what I need to talk through before I present you over to the hiring manager. Now, if you are, let's say, someone fresh out of high school and you are applying for a CEO role to take over an organization with no background in managing a team, then I'm likely going to not put you into that yes pal. I'll go ahead and put you into another pal. Likely my no pal, especially if your experience is just working, let's say, as a cashier for 4 years, and now you want to go into managing a team because you think you can manage a team. And I'm not going to say that you can't manage a team, but it takes a lot of training and knowledge to go into a role like that when you're working with different people from different backgrounds. So you have to be able to learn how to manage um, a true team. So it depends on the requirements that the hiring manager is looking for, the skills that are required and necessary to fulfill the duties of the role before I decide to give you a call.
Okay. I definitely like what you said. Also, just so you guys know, as a recruiter, the hiring managers give us certain skills to look for. We have the job description, and definitely the preferred versus basic qualifications. We're definitely looking for those. But we've talked about the resume writing part of it from the candidate side, but there are keywords that we're definitely looking for. If we see those keywords, we're jumping on them. Bilingual is one of them. If they've used certain softwares or platforms, that'll be another one.
Okay.
So especially in the job description, it'll say This is a have to have, and this is a nice to have. Please have not like we're going to look for. You have to have 90% of those have to haves in order for us to put you even think about putting you in the yes pile. But then if you have some nice to haves, oh, you're definitely going to yes pile a
That's
lot quicker, a lot quicker,
yes.
because now you're an easy sell to the hiring manager. Like
Mhm.
when I'm talking to you, hey, he has this, this, and this, and this, but he also has A, B, C, and D, which you really, really want.
Right.
What a lot of people don't understand is we recruit for this industry. We've never done this industry. We have not worked a day in most of these industries, unless it's retail for me, because that's where I started. But anything outside of retail, I sound like I've been in the industry for 10 years because I've asked, what am I supposed to know about this industry? And I've done my research.
Absolutely. And And I just wanted to piggyback back on something because I know we're going to talk about the CLHR event that we're going to be having coming up in August. One thing that's also important where you may think that your recruiter knows a lot about your industry, right? And it's because that they, one, have a relationship and develop a very strong relationship with one of the hiring managers. Two, is they actually get to know the role. So I say also respect that recruiter as well because they're learning multiple different positions. So let's say they're shadowing one employee on the job and what they do. Like, okay, wow, so we can connect it. Okay, this is what they do, and this is how it benefits this department, and this department that benefits this department. So the recruiter knows a little bit of each department, even though we haven't actually done the job. We kind of know what to look for. So again, as you mentioned before, you want to make sure put those certifications up there, put those softwares up there, because even though we might not have done or used that software, we know exactly what it looks like and what type of steps you have to take to get to your end result. So we may come up with some questions to talk to you about that on your screening. So I'm glad that you highlighted that well.
Oh my God. And then please keep in mind, where me and LaToya met, we would have 40 different reps at the same time.
Or more. I think we got up to 80.
Literally every month on the low end, we had 40 different positions.
Mhm.
So yeah, like, and that's not for the candidate, that's more for the hiring manager to realize we know your position or the two or three that you have, but we might have 10 or 12 other hiring managers, and we have to know their and how everything works into the organization. So as a recruiter, um, what is one of the first things that you need to do in order to, let's say, ingratiate yourself into the organization, as far as trying, because you touched on it a little bit, and I want you to just to expand on it. What do you need to do to say, okay, I have this job and I have to find the perfect person? Before you even start reaching out to people or looking for the resumes, what's one of the first things you should do?
Talk to the hiring manager. So you're going to do an intake.
Yes.
That's what we call it. We call it an intake. And this is when we gather as much information as we can about the role. And then also what's in it for you as the candidate. Like, what are the perks of going into this position? Because I want to ask the hiring manager questions of what would get me excited to want to work for this department. So share with me a little bit about the culture of the department. Share with me what the role is, what are the hours, what are the duties, what is the growth expansion of this role, so that we are able to share that information with you. So the first thing that a recruiter will do is an intake with the hiring manager. The second thing I will say, depending on how quickly they need to hire for that role, is to make sure that you actually take some time just to shadow that department just for a little bit, even if you work remotely. Just have someone do a share screen on what their desk look like for the day, or talk you through what their day looks like, so that you're able to share that with the hiring manager as well. But sometimes the shadow is not always offered for those recruiters.
Hmm.
But if you know the role, you know the role. You can also research. That's what's also important for recruiters to do, is research the position. Um, YouTube is there. You can learn a lot from YouTube. You can research on Google about the position so you know a little bit of what you're talking about. And if a candidate asks you a question that you're just not able to answer, you just, make them aware that the hiring manager would be the best person to ask that question to.
Okay, definitely YouTube University,
Yes.
LinkedIn University. You
Yes.
can go to you can literally go to both to figure out a little bit about the job if you don't know it.